You're welcome.
Welcome!
Welcome to Fizz and Fiction, where besties bond over books.
Love it. I'm Spencer.
And I'm Kristen.
And we're glad you could join us today.
We are. The book we're chatting about today,
Powerless,
by Lauren Roberts.
This was on my TBR for so long.
It's all over Booktok for so long.
Yeah.
You could not scroll through Booktok without seeing this book.
Literally could not.
Like, one way or the other. Like, if it was a good review or a bad review, it was there.
Yeah. Which I'm, like, really surprised. And I think a lot of it has to do, like, I'm glad that I didn't get spoiled with it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of my book talk at one point was just, like, ranking of books. And this was always, like, on a ranking.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily, like, specific spoilers.
Yeah, you just, like, heard about it. The big thing that I kept hearing about it, and we'll get into this probably more, is that, like, it was kind of not a ripoff, and heavily inspired by The Hunger Games and by Red Queen.
Oh, yeah.
Like, two big series. And that's where a lot of people, like, I think that's why a lot of it's polarizing. A lot of people are like, I've read this book. And, like, there is a fine line between inspiration and
A complete ripoff.
yeah. So we'll get into that, too.
Yeah.
But
That's fair.
I can read what it's about, though.
Also, I didn't know.
What you're going into?
No.
She never does.
I didn't know it was going to have, like, a Hunger Games-esque thing going on. I was like, trials. Oh, that sounds familiar. So, yeah, I was just like, okay.
And this one where they have, like, the creatures that can, like record you, too.
It was so weird.
That was the one thing I remember being like, what the hell is this?
It was just, it's like a person and they're not blinking, and then when they blink, you know they're done recording you. It's weird.
It's like one of the powers you can have. Like, don't sign me up for that one.
It's so strange. It was, and like don't touch them. Like,
She's
they're...
like, how can I do Hunger Games if they don't have recording equipment? Let me just...
I'm gonna do fantasy, like, yeah. No, that's fair. Because it was like, they could replay it too, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, some elements. Anyway, what are we getting into? The elites have possessed powers for decades, gifted to them by the plague, while those born ordinary are just that, banished from the kingdom of Ilia and shunned from society. No one knows this better than Paid in Grey, an ordinary posing as a psychic to blend in with the elites. But when she unwittingly saves one of Ilia's princes, Kai, Azur, she's thrown into the Purging Trials, a brutal competition showcasing the elite's powers. If the trials and the opponents within them don't kill her, the prince she's fighting feelings for will, if he discovers what Payton is, completely ordinary. Dun, dun, dun.
Like, how? Okay, we'll get into it.
What's your rating?
It's really hard for me. I feel like I always give books just like a 4 because it's really hard for me not to like be entertained because I'm
That's
like
the thing. Like,
easily entertained. And I feel like that's just like, it's just in my dumb brain. Just like, I'm entertained.
I lean 4 also.
Yeah.
I think the first half I was like, I'm giving this a 3. But then like, it gets you at the end.
Yeah.
It does.
It's very slow at first. But once I get to the trials,
yeah,
it's just like, okay, we're good.
And I'm bought in. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah, so I say 4.
Yeah, our dumb girl brains say 4.
Yeah, I was just like, are you entertained? Yes!
Are you not entertained?
I am.
Oh, man. Yeah, so...
Leave if you haven't read it.
And then come back.
Yes. And then if you have read it, stay, and we'll get into it.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to start with this.
I don't even know where to start. Can I start with like, how hard it is just to, like, say pay? Not hard, but just, like, cringy.
I, like, literally when I first... Because it's, like, the font they use.
I would rather say her full name. Payton.
But, like, I saw that.
Oh, yeah. That script is very...
And I was like,
what
am I reading? I could not understand what her name was.
Yeah, that's fair. The script is very, like... I don't know.
Yeah. Because I think it's not Y. The Y doesn't look like a Y.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Payton, often shortened to Pay.
I don't like
affectionately.
Pay. Yeah.
Affectionately.
It's just something about pay.
Pay. Hey, Pay.
Ugh. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like her name either.
Yeah. So Pay and A.
Pay and A.
I don't like that.
Oh, her friend Adina. Her dad died.
Oh, yeah, her family's dead.
So it's just like her and her friend on the streets.
Chilling. Living in a fort.
If you're ordinary, technically you get banished to like the Scorches.
And you have to like go across, and do you think
maybe a colony there?
Or like, yeah, what's like once you make it across,
There's gotta be a resistance, a colony.
Right.
Yeah, there's something over there.
There's like a town. They said there's like 2 towns over there. And if you make it across, but it's like being able to make it across.
Yeah, because it's like a giant desert, right?
You think you would make it across?
No. It sounds hot.
It sounds so hot.
And I have no gifts as predetermined.
Oh yeah, I'm ordinary.
Yeah, I'm ordinary.
I'm sit across, like when he sends that family across with no supplies.
Yeah.
I'm just like, and he's just like, they'll die
He's
together.
Like, this is better than me killing them. I'm like, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's like, this is, at least they'll die together. And I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd survive that.
It made me think, do you remember that episode of the Rugrats where they they go across the playground?
Yeah.
It's like a desert.
Yeah.
I kept thinking of that.
They always said mirage funny.
Yes.
Oh, I can't remember how they said it.
Yeah, because they saw like a water fountain and it wasn't there. It was so good.
Oh, it's so good.
Take a diaper and put it on their head.
Yes.
It's good stuff. But it made me think of that.
No, that is so funny. That is so true. But no, I would not have made that. But yeah, so like, she's like pretending not to be ordinary by being a psychic. And like her psychic abilities, I'm like...
Can we talk about how no one's met a psychic?
And then they're all like...
Not one
and
person.
they're like, prove it. And she's like, I see that he has a tan. It's like Sherlock.
Yeah.
You know when Sherlock like notices things?
Like super like, and that's where her dad like taught her to be. Like super
like
observant. Like if you can observe these things, you can basically just like fake it.
And I can buy that.
Oh,
I actually
absolutely.
can totally buy that. The one thing where I'm like, what? Is where Kai's ability is his ability to sense ordinary people.
And he can't sense anything.
And
he's like, why?
He's like, oh, she must be so weak. Like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Because she like proves to him that she's psychic, and he's like, well, it must just not work on psychics.
Yeah, and she tells him that. She's like, it probably just doesn't, and like the silencer, like couldn't like silence her stuff.
Because the silencer silences powers, and she has no power.
Yeah, and she's just like, oh yeah.
Guess I'm just so weak.
Yeah, and they just like buy it.
They all buy it.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
The fact that they have never met a psychic before, I'm like, y'all aren't questioning this out. The fact that they don't question it more is crazy.
And when they hate ordinary so much.
Oh,
you would think they would decide on, you would think they would assume you're ordinary until you can prove differently.
Yeah. Because I'm like, her like psychic abilities that she's showing aren't like great.
Yeah, they're not, I mean, they're fine.
Well, you know, and she does the whole thing where it's like, it's not like I can tell the future. It's like if there's like an emotion, I
can read it.
Yeah. And I'm like, what BS?
Yeah. And like, I think that's why the first half of the book was kind of like iffy for me. And I was like, what? Like, I can see where people like have a problem with it, is because like, you really have to suspend your belief until like you get to the meat of it. Because you have to like buy into like that too.
Yeah.
And it's
oh my God, nobody's questioning her.
No one.
Like,
and she saves Kai's life at the beginning because he's impacted by a silencer.
Mm-hmm. And he's the enforcer.
He's the enforcer. Ooh. He is the king's second son.
Mm-hmm.
By a different marriage.
It's his current marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that because I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, like in these books, there's like, obviously the king's always awful.
Yeah, always.
Always awful, always corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
But usually the son that gets like kind of the cold shoulder or like...
Is the original.
And like the wife has died or the wife has done something.
That's true.
And it's not. Like Kit is the original and then his mom died in childbirth.
Yeah.
And then he remarried this lady for love. And
yeah,
and that's who Kai is like from. And I'm like, this is odd.
It is.
Because he's got both parents.
And she doesn't hate
Kit. She's so loving to both of them.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic.
It is.
Because usually the one that's all like tortured and stuff usually is like, yeah, my mom like died.
And they make comments about how much they love each other, but you're supposed to also hate the king.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
It is, because he's like, well, there's times when I like see like my dad, but most of the time it's just the king.
And the king is a dick to Kai, because he's training him to be the enforcer, and so he's like torturing him to train him. And then Kit's getting off like scot-free, but Kit wants to like fight and like be tortured.
Right. That's one of my questions is like, do you think that kings should be above fighting, like in the thick of it? So yes, from a king's perspective, because like I don't want my heir to die. Yeah, it's like a whole like it's a line of succession. Yeah, like you're especially because he doesn't have. He's young. He doesn't have kids of his own. Yeah, like it would go then to Kai. Yeah, Kit. Like I would understand the present king fighting more because he has a grown son. Yes, or two grown sons. Yeah. But from the other perspective, the flip side, you know, Devil's Kit is not happy.
Kids not happy. But I think that the one thing I would say, and like, I can't really remember the purpose of these trials. Are they just like...
They're for entertainment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for entertainment, then I could see it more, because I'm like, the only thing I would say is if your kingdom's kind of like suspect of you as like rulers, you might want your son to prove himself.
That's fair.
So they'll like rally behind you. But I don't. That's like not the situation here.
No, it's just like strictly.
So I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also like Kit's doing it to prove himself as the enforcer, right? Is that or not? Sorry, Kai. Sorry, their names are so similar.
So similar.
Kai's doing it to prove himself as the enforcer.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's the only reason he's doing it.
It only happens every like 5 years, so it's not even every year.
Yeah.
So they haven't had a chance to do it yet. But she's like gone around the slums and she's like proved her psychic, because like she didn't want anybody to suspect her as an ordinary.
Right.
Because you either die, like you die.
Banish, yeah. You die. You're not supposed to. He's not supposed to banish people. He's supposed to kill people.
Yeah, he's supposed to kill people.
Yeah.
And so she's like, for years, she's just been like flaunting her fake ability.
Because what's so weird is they think that like she's a health risk if you're ordinary.
Yeah.
That was weird too.
It's propaganda.
It is.
It's straight propaganda. It's like, oh, if they're around, they're like, they're disease ridden and your powers will get weaker.
Yeah, they're sucking the power out of you.
It's wild.
It is wild.
But she helps save Kai, and he's like kind of this like known like asshole kind of person, like the bringer of death. Yeah, he's like an executioner essentially.
Yeah, he needs you to be afraid of him.
Yeah, so she helps save him, and like the people from
after she stole from him.
Yeah. The people in the slums, they you can vote people into the trials.
Yeah,
and they vote her in.
Yeah.
And because she sees her name, like, on, like, the newspaper or whatever, the banner, and it's like, oh, Peyton, and she's like, oh, what? Shit.
Yeah.
Because she's ordinary, and she has no powers, but everybody thinks she's a psychic.
Yeah.
So she gotta go.
Yeah, usually it's, like, all these nobles that have been, like, training for years.
Yep.
And they pick a few, or, like, not ordinary, they pick a few poor people.
Yeah.
So, like, they feel like they have someone they can cheer for.
Exactly.
But they expect them to die pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, she has to go. She leaves Adina.
Yep.
And shows up at the castle. And Kit's surprised too, I think. Like, he didn't expect...
Kai,
oh my god.
They're both surprised.
But Kit does fall in love with her very quickly.
I did not like that. At first I thought he was just like playing around because he was like, oh, I'm just going to rib my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't.
He genuinely...
And I was like, I don't like this.
And the king didn't like it either.
Yeah, I was not. I mean, I agree with the king. I was not here for it.
Yeah, that... I don't like it because I like them being brothers.
Yeah, I don't like when...
I don't want them to, like...
Yeah, it's like, the sooner I turn pretty, it's just like, can we just, like, separate this?
Yeah.
Yeah, can we not?
Yeah.
But, yeah, and it's like, nobody goes for the sweet brother.
I know, I feel bad for him. She doesn't want him either.
No, she doesn't.
She likes him as a friend.
Yeah.
But, like, there's, of course, flirtation with Kai.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and so they... she goes to the castle to, like, train, and they go through that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like, she's just there, like, doing, like, interviews so people, like, get to know him, and, like, train and whatnot.
That's very Hunger Games-esque.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She brings her friend to her to be her seamstress.
Yeah, she's a great...
Yeah.
Clothing maker.
Yeah, that's her hobby. That's how she makes money.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so and then they, like, had their first trial.
Yeah, and again, there's these creepy little, like... people.
So weird.
And their powers are that they have a giant eye that records and projects film.
It's so weird. So they'll just see them, but you're not supposed to interact with them.
Yeah.
And, like, you're supposed to, like, go on. And so they had those little leather bands.
Oh, yeah, the first trial was, like, get the most leather bands.
Yep. And then, like, she almost, like, dies.
Yeah.
She gets hit,
that one guy that's like...
The guy from the slums.
Yeah.
The illusionist.
Yeah.
I hate him. He's a dick.
I know. I don't like him either. But Kai saves her.
Kai saves her.
Yeah.
He, like, finds this, like, bomb and, like, he saves her and like, he burned himself pretty bad.
Yeah, he didn't need the bomb on himself.
Which was wild. And so, she helps him with that. So they become partners. And then, I'm trying to think what happens after that.
There's, like, this arena, too, isn't there?
Yeah, and the arena is, like, cloaked in this, like, special material where, like, powers... Like, if you're somebody with a power outside, you can't, like, interfere. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and somewhere in the midst of this, she meets the rebellion.
Oh, yeah. So when she's in the market at the first of the book,
yeah,
she, like, pickpockets somebody, and she, like...
a little note
that just says, like, meeting here, supplies are here.
Like, it must be the rebellion.
Yeah, it was like, why would you even think that?
Yeah. And then she sees him again at one of the parties.
At the ball. She, like, sees that guy, and she's like, oh, that's weird.
And then things blow up.
And then there's an explosion. And...
which they say later was an accident. Like, it wasn't supposed to happen. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah, it was weird. It's like they didn't really plan... like, because they didn't come with, like, all their forces and stuff.
Oh, the guard. Her personal guard is part of it.
Oh.
I liked him.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Lenny?
Yeah, it was something weird.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's a crazy scene, too, when she, like, has to pull that knife out of his back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Kit's just, like, waiting in the safe room. He's, like, so mad. He's just waiting.
Yeah, they won't let him, like, go anywhere.
Yeah. But, yeah, she does. She meets the rebellion.
And they want her to help them get into the arena. And she's trying to, like, trick Kit into showing her this, like, underground entrance so she can tell them about it.
Oh, yeah.
So she's, like, playing into, like, his feelings.
I know. And it's just, girl, she's not like a good guy.
No.
She's really not.
No. But she, like, I guess she thinks she's doing this to, like, help the ordinaries that exist. So and, like, allow them, I guess the whole point is, like, they want to show that, like, the ordinaries have always been there and they're not getting sick.
Exactly, because there's more ordinaries than you think.
Yeah.
That are in hiding.
Yeah.
And everybody's fine.
Yeah.
And it's just the king being, like, elitist.
Right.
It's just, like, get this...
wanting power.
Yeah, get this scum out of here.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that the second trial is in the arena for some reason, isn't it?
Yeah, because the first one's in the woods.
Yeah, the first one's in the woods.
Yeah. You're, like, out in the woods.
But I feel like the second one's, like, in the arena. And there's this girl who's kind of a bitch. That's
Blair.
Like she's, like, in love with...
both brothers.
Both of them.
She just wants power.
She just wants to be a queen, basically.
She just wants the power, yeah. She doesn't matter who.
And her friend is nicer to Peyton. I can't remember her name.
Oh.
One of the girls. It's like another they're both nobles, but, like, they're, like...
yeah.
And then every now and then someone dies in the trials.
Yeah.
Or gets kicked out.
And that's... yeah. And it's interesting because, like, I feel like in the beginning they don't really tell you... because in the Hunger Games, you have a very distinct, like, you're dead, you're out. It's, like, last one standing. And this one's not. It's, like, it's weird because, like, that was her
whole... in last place.
Yeah, and that was her whole thing with, like, in the interview, she wanted people to like her because, like, people can vote for you.
Yeah.
It's, like, bringing American Idol stuff into this. It's just, like, it was weird in that, like, at the beginning, I was like, how do you even determine
who wins? Like, you're also getting points, I think. Each trial gets you more points.
Yeah. It's, like, odd.
And then the third trial, is it them, like, trying to, like, get to the top of something?
Yeah.
Or go through a door? Wait, am I getting this? No, I'm getting this mixed into another book with trials, sorry.
So many trials.
So many trials.
You think, because I read this, like, yesterday, and I was sitting here, like, but I think my sleep out of the brain. I can just remember what happens in the end. Okay, well, there's trials, blah, blah. Yeah.
We can jump to the end.
Okay, yeah. So, in the end, and this is where we're talking about the best friend, because her best friend.
Oh, that's the last trial.
Yeah.
They're, like, going to, like, a maze, basically.
Yeah, and her best friend.
Thing's trying to
best friends
you.
never make it out.
They never make it out.
They never make it out. I felt so bad. Because, like, I mean, she was fine.
Yeah.
I was just, like, I felt bad that she was just, I'm like, golly, best friends. Best friends are just,
and collateral damage.
They are straight up collateral damage.
Yeah. She dies.
She dies. She dies, and of course, like, Hayden is...
like, distraught.
Yeah.
It's like her final straw, right?
Yeah, and that's when the king, and it's like this whole thing, she has this whole, like, interaction with the king.
Yeah.
I can't remember where they're at, but it was, like, right after that. Mm-hmm. She, like, is in a tizzy because her friend's dead. And she's not supposed to have gone that far. I think that's why the king's so mad. Yeah, and they find out she's ordinary. Oh, and I think that they're mad that Kit likes her, too. Yeah. Yeah. And they find out she's ordinary, and it's like, well, you shouldn't even be here, first of all. Like, my son likes you, and that obviously can't happen. Oh, and the king knew her dad, too, I think. Yes. So she thinks the king that's like her whole thing.
Yeah.
In her like mind, she remember, and she was like really young, but she thinks she remembers the king killing her dad.
Yeah.
So she has.
He was a resistance member too.
Yes. And so, yeah, you found that out that he was like part of the resistance. He was a healer. And then.
Oh yeah, at the end you find out.
Yeah. So like, the king. I can't remember where they are when they're having this whole like back and forth.
Yeah.
But the king reveals that it wasn't him who killed her dad. It was Kai.
It was Kai's first kill on assignment from the king.
Yeah.
But that was her.
And throughout the whole book, like they're like very open with each other. He's like, I never wanted this. Like,
yeah, I have to do this.
I'm a product of what I was like made into. It's not anything I ever wished for in life, but like this is my duty. Like this is my role.
Yeah.
But like he doesn't kill. Like he has his lines. Like he's like I don't kill kids, and that's why he lets that girl go in the beginning.
Yeah.
So like I feel like she knows, but obviously she's.
It's different to know that it was your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and she's like pretty quickly like, but that's like right at the end, so you don't really see like how she's processing that.
Yeah, because she does end up letting the resistance in through the bottom during like one of the ceremonies or like one of the like last trials. Can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
And like all hell breaks loose basically.
And the king dies.
Yeah. And
which I was surprised.
He wasn't supposed to. The resistance said they were just going there to like talk.
Yeah.
And so she was surprised that he got murdered too.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
And then Kai's realizing everything.
Yeah, he's pissed.
And he's chasing her down.
Yeah.
And he loves her.
Yeah.
So he lets her go, but he's basically like, I'm gonna catch you.
Oh.
If I catch you, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh.
Yeah, so
she skirts away.
Yep. And then you get...
I think that's where the king tells her. Like, they're like in the tunnels.
Yeah.
And he's like spouting off, and then he gets killed.
Yeah. And then you get, like, so she leaves, and then you get a chapter where Kai's, like, searching for her. And she's, like, under a floorboard or something. And I'm like, how did he not find her in that house?
She has no power.
Yeah, that's her one, like, look at the end of it.
Is that he can't
and Kit's the king, and he, like, is all grief-stricken, and he's, like, obviously, like, grieving
his dad.
Yeah, and he's like, it looks like he's like kind of like turned off his like niceness. He's like, find her. That's your first mission, is find her. And that's when Kai goes looking for her. I
can't really tell if he like still loves her or not, or if they both still love her.
Have you read Reckless yet?
No.
Okay.
So we can do predictions.
Nice. Yeah. I don't know what to expect for the next book. But yeah, do we want to do predictions?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know what to predict either, though. Like, I read the synopsis.
I think
they'll find each other quickly.
Yeah, I think they'll find each other quickly. I think Kai will come over to the resistance. Like, I think he'll start helping out.
Do you think that Kit's gonna be kind of, like, not evil, but, like, they're gonna have to, like, reason with him?
He's gonna have to come to Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he's gonna be so upset from, like, the lying and, like, his brother probably betraying him and his dad dying and da-da-da. I think it's not going to go well at all.
Yeah.
Did we answer all the questions?
Oh,
who's your favorite character?
Oh.
We haven't do questions yet.
Oh, yeah. My favorite character, I mean, like, I'm just going to go ahead and say Kai.
I said Kai, too.
Yeah.
And I think we didn't really talk about Kai a lot in this, like, synopsis, but he is, like, I do like how conflicted he is.
Yeah. I was like, he knows he's doing bad stuff, but he's, like, he's not unaware.
He's not unaware, but he's, like, also
and he's, like, guilty. He feels guilty about it.
But he's also realistic. And you don't always get that with these kind of books. He's just, like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like, he's not, like, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, it's bad, but, like, he shows him torturing that guy. Yeah. And he's just like, yep, that's my job.
That's my job.
Least favorite character... I really hated that guy from the Ace guy from her.
Ace, that was his name.
Yeah,
he did suck.
He sucked.
I put that I didn't really like Adina. She just was like flat to me. Like I didn't care about her, and that's why her death didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
And then like we were talking about this earlier, but she has her own like novella, and I'm like, I don't know if I care about that. Everyone said it's a good novella, but like,
yeah,
will I care about her?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not enough.
I just don't really care about her.
Not enough.
Yeah.
Oh, would you trust anyone with the knowledge that you were an ordinary? Because she like tells Adina.
No.
I wouldn't either.
Like, what's that saying? Like, two can keep a secret if one of them is dead?
Yeah.
No, like, if that's my life, and, like, Adina's your friend, but you've known her for, like, 2 years.
Yeah. Like, family only.
Yeah, like, your dad, sure.
Yeah.
He knew, obviously.
Yeah.
But even, like, when she was falling for Kai, like, she shouldn't tell him.
No.
Literally, the last person you should tell.
Would you rather be an ordinary or have power?
Power.
Power, for sure.
Sorry, power.
Yeah.
I did like that.
I don't want to get killed.
I did like that the plague gave you power. Like that.
Oh, yeah. It was like this whole plague 100 years ago, and it was like, it gave everybody.
Instead of like killing you
everybody.
or taking you away.
It's like, oh, now we're special.
Yeah, which is kind of fun. Usually it's like the opposite. If you're like different, you're the ones being like hunted and killed.
Yeah.
So I did like that part a lot.
It was nice.
And we don't talk about Kai and Peyton's like relationships that much, but like I think that's what kept me interested toward the end. Their banter was really good.
Yeah, it was.
And like I was rooting for them.
Oh,
we're all rooting for you.
And I want to know if this was written first or if I think this was this written before Fourth Wing?
No, I think it was after.
Published after Fourth Wing. This
was written in 2023.
Okay, so after. What?
Yeah.
Because he calls her a vicious little thing.
Oh, does he really?
And I was like...
Oh, because she's a violent little thing.
Yeah. And I was like, that...
Sounds...
I read it and I was like, where have I read that before?
Yeah. So I know you haven't read the Red Queen series, but that's the other book that's just compared to a lot. And that's Victoria Aveyard, who's going to be at
nice.
Y'allfest too. And it is... This is a good book. I like this book. I do see where it is
a lot of parallels.
A lot of parallels to a lot of different fantasy books.
Yes.
And Lauren Roberts has said before that she wrote a book of all of her, like basically of all her favorite books and things that she likes.
Which is like...
Kudos to you.
Yeah.
As an author, you get to do that.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, I read all these books and it made me want to write a book. And I just like, I like this about it. I like this about it. Yeah.
So like, totally get that.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what you think after you read like Red Queen.
Okay.
It also has two brothers in it. It's... And trials.
And trials.
Yeah, it's interesting. But no, I think that like... It's just... I mean, read it,
Yeah.
I can see why it's polarizing.
That's fair.
But it's entertaining. Well, like we said before, it's entertaining.
I enjoyed it.
I'll read the second book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll read the third.
Yeah, when it comes out.
Sweet.
Cool. That is Powerless.
Yep. Go read it if you haven't. And then next week, come join us.
For one that I'm sure Spencer's been dying to talk about.
Apprentice to the Villain.
Yes.
I love these books so much.
So exciting. We will be here.
Yep. Read along with us.
And we'll see you there.
Bye.